So here's a question I've been thinking about. What happens when you take two of Diamind's most famous German exclusive inks and simply refuse to choose between them? On one side, there's Skull and Roses, deep blue, absolutely drenched in red sheen, dramatic enough to make almost any paper look interesting. And on the other side, there's November Rain, a green, bronze, gold, sometimes red ink that seems to change its mind every time the light hits it. Both have developed almost legendary status in the fountain pen community. So naturally, I decided to mix them. Not in 10%, not in 20% ratios, but a full 1-to-1 ratio. No secret formula, no complicated chemistry, just equal parts of two inks that probably shouldn't belong together. Now I genuinely have no idea what would happen. Would the sheen disappear? Or would the result be a muddy mess that should never see the inside of a fountain pen? Well, after letting the mixture settle for a few minutes, I looked down at the swatch and immediately thought of one ink. Lamy Petrel. Not an exact copy, but it has the same moody personality. A deep blue-green that shifts depending on the light, sitting somewhere between an industrial teal and a dark ocean color. It's understated from a distance, but the closer you get, the more complexity starts to appear. And that's what surprised me the most. Neither Skull and Roses nor November Rain completely dominates the mixture. Instead, they seem to pull each other into an entirely new direction. The result feels less like a blend and more like an ink that could have been released as its own limited edition. Of course, bottle color doesn't tell the whole story. The real question is what happens once it meets paper. I've got 3 papers that all behave very differently. First is Midori, one of my personal favorites because it tends to show an ink exactly as it is without exaggerating anything. Then Tomogawa Tomo River Machine 9, the paper that's famous for revealing every bit of sheen and character an ink has to offer. And finally, Canopus, which often surprises me with color and shading that I didn't see anywhere else. We'll start with swatches on all 3 papers and see whether this Lamy Petrel resemblance survives the transition from bottle to page. Then I'll finish with a full writing sample on Midori to answer the question, what really matters? Is this just a fun experiment, or have we accidentally created an ink that's actually worth filling a pen with? And after spending some time with it, I think the answer is pretty clear. The final color is a rich, dark petrol blue-green that leans more refined and dramatic. It has enough depth to look almost blue-black in a fine line, but open it up with a broader nib and the green undertones start to emerge. There's gentle shading throughout the stroke, given the writing, a soft, almost velvety appearance, while the heavy red sheen of Skull and Roses is noticeably tamed. Instead, you're left with a subtle bronze to red halo that appears in pulled areas rather than shouting from every letter. The overall impression is calm, sophisticated, and surprisingly well balanced. It looks like an ink designed for everyday writing, but every now and then the light catches it just right and reminds you that there's something far more interesting happening beneath the surface. Now that we've seen the individual inks, let's find out what happens when they stop competing and start working together. This is a 50-50 mix of smoke on the water and communication breakdown, and I have to say, this is absolutely not the result I expected. Looking at the names alone, I was expecting another dark blue-green sheen monster. Instead, what appears on the page is something completely different. The first impression is a deep charcoal base with warm brown undertones, almost like oxidized steel that's been left out in the weather for years. The first impression is a charcoal base. Around the edges, a soft antique gold halo starts to form, giving the ink a worn metallic appearance, rather than a glossy one. And then, as the pools of ink begin to dry, you start noticing hints of violet emerging from the center. It's subtle. You won't see it from across the room, but tilt the paper under the light and suddenly there's a quiet purple depth hiding beneath the surface. What's fascinating is that both original inks seem to disappear. I don't immediately see smoke on the water, and I don't immediately see communication breakdown. Instead, they're combined into something that feels entirely new. The overall effect reminds me of an old bronze that's developed a natural patina over decades. Dark, warm, slightly mysterious. It's the kind of color that doesn't demand attention, but keeps pulling your eyes back to the page, because every angle reveals something different. And that's exactly what makes this mixture so successful. It isn't about maximum sheen or impossible color shifts. It's about complexity, a charcoal foundation, an antique gold outline, and just enough smoky violet to give the writing depth and character. If someone bottled this and called it aged bronze or patina, I wouldn't question it for a second. Of all the ink combinations I've tried, this might be the biggest surprise thus far. Not because it's louder than the originals, but because it is completely willing to become something else. Looking at the writing sample on Midori, this ink surprises me. At first glance, it looks like a deep charcoal ink. But the longer you look, the more colors begin to emerge. The broad strokes reveal warm bronze undertone, while the heavier areas develop a soft violet haze that gives the writing an incredible sense of depth. What I appreciate most is that it never feels overdone. The sheen stays controlled, adding definition around the edges instead of overwhelming the page, and the shading is smooth and natural from start to finish. This might be my favorite surprise of the day. On paper, Master of Puppets and Bloody Brexit couldn't be more different. Master of Puppets has that unmistakable warm character with an orange undertone that gives it an almost fiery, almost oxidized look. Bloody Brexit gives in the opposite direction, laying down a rich purple base that develops an incredible purple sheen as the ink pools and dries. So naturally I expect a clash. Instead, the two inks seem to soften each other. The swatch settles into a dark smoky charcoal with subtle violet undertones, while the warmth from Master of Puppets never completely disappears. Rather than obvious orange, it reveals itself as a gentle bronze glow around the edges, giving the mix depth without dominating it. It's a color that changes every time you move the paper. One moment it looks like a cool graphite gray. The next, the surface catches the light and you start seeing muted bronze, soft violet, and a metallic shimmer that wasn't obvious a second before. Moving over to the writing sample on Midori, the mix becomes even more interesting. The first stroke goes down looking almost black, but as the ink settles, a deep charcoal base emerges with a subtle warmth that keeps it from feeling cold or flat. Then the magic starts to happen. In the heavier strokes and where letters overlap, Bloody Brexit's rich purple sheen begins to appear, creating a beautiful contrast between the dark body of the ink. It's not overpowering, but it's impossible to ignore once you notice it. Meanwhile, the influence of Master of Puppets gives the writing a quiet bronze warmth that adds complexity instead of color. The result is remarkably balanced, readable enough for everyday writing, but filled with small details that reward a closer look. Every line seems to reveal something different, depending on the angle of the light. And that's what makes this mix so successful. It doesn't look like Master of Puppets. It doesn't look like Bloody Brexit. It feels like an entirely new ink, one with a deep smoky body, a warm bronze soul, and flashes of rich purple sheen that quietly appear when the conditions are just right. It's subtle, sophisticated, and in my opinion, one of the most elegant combinations I've mixed so far. After mixing all three combinations, it's amazing how different the results turned out. Skull and Roses with November Rain created something immediately that reminded me of Lamy Petrol, a deep blue-green with a refined, understated character that feels like it could have a commercial release. Smoke on the Water with Communication Breakdown went in a completely unexpected direction, producing a dark, oxidized bronze appearance with smoky violet undertones and an antique metallic quality that became more interesting the longer I looked at it. And finally, Master of Puppets with Bloody Brexit delivered perhaps the most elegant transformation of all, a deep charcoal body carrying the warmth of Master of Puppets and flashes of Bloody Brexit's rich purple sheen, creating an ink that feels sophisticated, balanced, and quietly dramatic. If there's one thing I've learned from these experiments, is that mixing fountain pen inks isn't about predicting the result. It's about discovering colors that don't exist anywhere else. And every now and then, two different inks come together and create something that feels entirely original. If you enjoyed this video, if you found it of use, it would be of great pleasure unto me and honor if you could like and subscribe and share with your friends and family. Until we meet again, this has been another presentation of The Honest Nib.